Welcome to another episode of the podcast. It's jumping straight in, as always. And before we jump straight in, just so you know, audio tomorrow might be better. We're going to get like an actual thing to block the mic so there's not as much reverb bouncing around and making ruckus all over the place. But without further ado, jumping straight into the FCC, which we're going to have in here twice today. But this one is they are completely fed up with spam calls. So the FCC will now require cell carriers to block scam texts and sketchy numbers. So if your number is not registered, is unused, unallocated, invalid, that's not going to go through anymore. So that's great. It's good to see we're doing something a little proactive. Hopefully it's not going to be overreaching to any extent, or hopefully it does something. I feel like most carriers probably do most of this already, so is it really going to change anything? Who knows here? Well, we're going to find out, but they're done with spam text, which this will probably help with spam calls as well. And we're just going to have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, why now? Why do they care? Somebody there must get a lot of spam texts to be like, hey, nah, we're done with this. But, how can consumers further protect themselves from spam? And, even with the efforts of the FCC, what else can you do as a normal consumer to help with dealing with stuff like this? Big thing you can do is don't put your number anywhere on the internet at all unless you have to. And if you have to, make sure it's someone you trust and make sure it's a place that you're like, they probably don't give up this. We're probably fine. That said, everyone is also now going to be charging you for being verified. So as of today, Meta has launched their paid verification program in the US, which is for both Facebook and Instagram, which will be $12 a month, and you can get the blue verification badge on both Facebook and Instagram, as I said. And for $15 if you do it through either the iOS App Store or the Google Play Store. $12 is if you do it through their website online. Without the App Store fees, they're gonna charge you less. They're gonna do it. So, $3 seems like it's probably more than what they're getting taken out of that, but can you blame them? Most people are going to sign up through their phones. Most people are going to pay the $15. So why not make a little extra when you can? So the program will include proactive impersonation protection, as well as direct access to consumer support and other perks. Yet to be seen what all the perks are going to be. It looks like it's going to be real similar to getting verified on Twitter now. They're calling this program Meta Verified. It's interesting watching everyone when Twitter did this was like, oh no, we're gonna have to pay for pay for being verified and getting support and all that. And even on these other platforms, like, we don't have to do that there. And now all these other platforms are like, wait, we can make how much by just charging a monthly fee and giving you a check mark? And it begs the question, if you're somebody that cares to get verified, obviously if you're a business, if you're somebody that needs to be verified, like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna just have to pay the $12 a month, which is better than the rumored thousands or hundreds of thousands that people paid for it on Twitter. And again, when are people going to hit the point of, I mean, I don't think one subscription, I'm not sure if one subscription on Meta gets you both Facebook or Instagram. I'm not entirely sure on that front. I would guess it probably gets you both, but let's say it gets you both. Now, if you want that and Twitter, you're all of a sudden looking at like $30 a month, and it doesn't get rid of ads. You might see less ads, but you're not getting rid of ads. The benefit what are you getting? I mean, that's a music subscription somewhere. The benefits are so little, and they're just throwing in like proactive impersonation protection. Well, that probably should have been there to start. That shouldn't have been something that we're like, oh, if you pay us, we'll do that now. That should have been there from the get-go. So the perks to a lot of these programs are like things you would expect to get just by using the platform. But instead, they found out they can charge you for it. So why wouldn't you? I mean, you can't blame them. I would, might as well charge people if they're willing to pay it. So Rivian, however, they're really having some tough times. It's really hard to say where they're going to be here in a little while. Their chief automotive engineer, Charles Sanderson, has left the company. And I believe he worked at McLaren before, and he's going back to McLaren now. But this is after they've lost several top executives in the last couple of months, including the head of manufacturing and the vice presidents of parts part purchasing. So there's a lot of turnover going there upon of already not hitting targets, already setting a higher internal goal than their external goal. And in the same week they came out and were like, hey, it's harder to get parts than we thought. We wanted to add more shifts and hire more people to build these things faster to hit these targets, but we just can't get the parts. So it's really Rivian, with all the backing they have, working things for, building vans for Amazon, building, other cars for other manufacturers, licensing things out to Ford. It doesn't seem like, with the amount of investment they're getting, like it's going that great. We're gonna have to see here, just over time, because it's really looking rough for Rivian with the people they're losing and not being able to hit goals. I mean, who wants to invest in that, especially after a bank just collapsed? But what do you think some reasons are that Rivian has lost several top executives in recent months? I think that, as Elon has stated before, as Tesla has proven, getting into the car industry, not easy. Getting into it like this, at this point in this market, not that they don't have a good product, but their product is not good enough, and they just can't make enough of them. They're hitting all the roadblocks at once, it seems, and they already recalled a bunch of their cars for, I think it was like 12,000 vehicles for airbags. They just put another recall out for airbags as well. I believe this one was only 30 vehicles, but still, they're going through all this growing pain so quickly because they got such a big investment up front, and they started with these, like, I want to say mid-range. I mean, they're mid-high range vehicle prices, but it's in the market where so many more people have access to them, versus Tesla starting at a high-end vehicle where they're not going to have to manufacture very many, but there's higher margin. They can learn a lot more in that time doing that kind of vehicle to apply it to these cheaper vehicles, so they don't have to go through all of this at once and have these high demand numbers upon of not being able to get enough things. The order they're doing things in seems to be just tripping them up a little bit more than it needs to. But I mean, when you got that many investors and big names, and you gotta go for it. Kia, however, is going it with their new EV9. Now, this thing we know almost nothing about, other than it is a mid-sized SUV. It features 3 rows of seats, including, I think there's going to be an options for a 6 or 7 seat, depending if you go for the bench seat or not. And it's built on their electric global modular platform. And this thing, I'm not saying it looks great, but it looks pretty stunning. This is actually a really good looking vehicle, all things considered. In the front, you have a dual 12-inch displays across the front. Everything else looks pretty standard, but it's a futuristic, like a modern futuristic boxy design with sharp lines and angles. It looks pretty nice. As I said, we don't know any specs yet. We don't know battery size. We don't know powertrain. Range is up in the air. Not really sure on all that yet, but what I really wanted to say here is, are legacy automakers starting to figure out doing EVs right? Because everyone started out with doing the hybrids, the Priuses, the ugly-looking garbage vehicles. But now some of these, Kia especially, has been on top of the game when it comes to designing these nicer-looking vehicles. And I mean, even the F-150 Lightning looks nice. Rivian's obviously making good-looking vehicles. They're not a legacy automaker, but they're doing it. And Ford is licensing that stuff. And it's just great to see these cool-looking vehicles that aren't just concepts. They're actually going to be coming out at some point. And on top of that, we have our next topic here, which is the FCC again. They're back, and they're working not directly with Starlink and T-Mobile, but they're going to be the ones that benefit from this right now the most. And when I say that, I mean that the FCC has proposed a new regulatory framework to help satellite operators and wireless companies connect smartphones easier to satellites. So what they're going to be doing, the proposal to do, is basically they're going to open up some more bands of connectivity for these devices. They're going to work on regulating them and allowing these spectrums to be used. And this is going to be awesome technology. As we know, Starlink and T-Mobile are already linked up, so they're going to be the ones that are going to benefit the most right now. I mean, T-Mobile right now is taking so many big wins between buying Mint Mobile. They get Ryan Reynolds for marketing, which everyone knows. that's not a bad guy to have on your marketing team. And acquiring Sprint recently, now they're working with Starlink. I mean, T-Mobile's rolling with it, and they're just steamrolling everything. They're ahead of the game in 5G. I mean, they're making plays, and they're doing a great job at it. I mean, this is going to be a big deal. This is going to help connect smartphone users that don't have service right now, because there will be satellites there to get them service. And in underserved areas where there's not enough towers, that's going to alleviate some of the congestion in those areas. I mean, you'll be able to, on these networks that are satellite connected, call the police from anywhere. There won't be, Apple showed off that cool, kind of hops from iOS devices to get to a call center, it automatically calls the police. But if you don't have service, that doesn't matter. But this is something that would fix that and give people service in those areas where they don't currently have it. The real question is here, what other satellite companies are going to start getting into this? SpaceX, obviously, is doing it. They're leading the way. They're number one. And they already got a deal with T-Mobile. Will other people... Is that deal exclusive to T-Mobile, or could Verizon walk up and be like, hey, we want to do that too? Or are they going to have to find another satellite company? I mean, this is a big, big deal if we can start doing things like this and doing connections up to space instead of just to towers near you, especially in areas that are, super remote where no one else is. If you're paying for a satellite phone at a moment, but you could just switch cell carriers and have that connection anyways, I mean, that's a big change that could come really quickly here, actually, SpaceX has so many satellites up there that T-Mobile is going to, newer phones can already do this connection, and it's basically just a matter of turning it on and getting the FCCs okay. So, again, I hope we see more of this. I think this is going to be a great way to advance phones without having to build the towers. A great way for new companies to get into doing cell service, too, because right now, if you don't have the infrastructure, you have to license, you go up to T-Mobile, you're like, hey, can we use your thing? And then they're like, yeah, I guess. But if you can go up to a SpaceX and be like, hey, can we use your thing? That could be a great way to get started and then build your own infrastructure, or just, it adds options. Options are great. It's good to see that this is something that's happening. Next up, we have Volkswagen, who's trying to become the King of Europe EVs. So Volkswagen has announced a plan to introduce an all-electric car, completely under $25,000, which, as we know, was a goal of Tesla's that they have not been able to make yet. Now, that's euros, so it's actually like 26,700-ish bucks US. But as part of their commitment to achieve 80% of Volkswagen's passenger brand sales in Europe from all-electric vehicles by 2030. That's going to come up quick. These companies, like I said, the range on everyone else's models are kind of sketchy, and it's not great, but to have this goal to be like 80% by 2030 that's a big commitment. And that's going to come super quickly. I mean, that's going to be some rapid change going on here. So the affordable electric car is set to launch in Europe by 2025. So that's another kind of catch here, is if it's in Europe, it's probably going to be a smaller vehicle, which makes it cheaper. And it probably won't have quite as much range, and it's definitely not going to be all-wheel drive. All things that here in America wouldn't go over quite as well. We like our bigger vehicles, we like our farther range, and we like having, all-wheel drive in a lot of states. So not going to be coming to America directly, but it's a start in the right direction. So we'll have about a 280-mile range, that's 450 kilometers, and be the first Volkswagen model featuring front-wheel drive on their modular electric platform. With basically, it's going to be inspired by the Golf. So the Volkswagen Golf is going to be kind of the tally here for what this is going to look like. The vehicle's battery will charge from 10% to 80% in about 20 minutes, offering a top speed of 160 kilometers an hour. I don't know what that is in freedom units. About 100 miles an hour. So that's not bad. I mean, there's not many places you can do that legally anyways. So that's good to see. It's good to see a vehicle like this coming out, at least, that they're working on it, making progress. And they want to do this pretty bad. Now, they're also working on developing another car below 20,000 euros. So that'll probably be about 21,000 American. And it's good, again, it's great to see that they're committing to this new vehicle structure. Now, considering that Volkswagen's plans to introduce these affordable electric vehicles, how will this impact overall adoption of these cars? I think this would be a good step. Cheaper is always a good idea. People can think about buying new then. That intrigues a lot more people than buying used things, especially when it comes to electric vehicles, because we're not really sure how long some of these batteries will last. And having a good range on 280-mile range on a $25,000 car is, I mean, in gas terms, it's meh, but in an electric vehicle, that's actually a pretty great way to see it going. So I'm glad we're going to see Volkswagen not targeting the high end, targeting the low end market to start. They did say that there might not be a lot of profit on these vehicles, but that's on them. That's their problem to figure out in the future. Last thing we got here, which is futuristic, is NASA's new spacesuits. So NASA and wow, I just combined both their names. NASA and Axiom Space have unveiled the new spacesuit design for Artemis 3 astronauts set to walk the moon landing mission scheduled for December 2025. Artemis 3 mission marks a historic milestone because it'll be the first crewed lunar landing since Apollo 17 in 1972. I mean, that is a while ago. It's crazy to think that it's been, I mean, we're over 50 years. It's been 51 years since we went to the moon, like with a crew of people. That's not a short time. And a lot of technology has changed, so it should be easier and cheaper by now, but we just haven't been doing it. Now, some of the innovation in these suits is they're going to fit a broader range of body styles. They're going to offer increased flexibility, which is going to be helpful for the astronauts when they're working on things in space or walking around outside. They're also adding lights and HD camera to the suit. The suit is also designed to withstand the extreme cold of the moon's permanently shadowed areas, ensuring the safety and comfort of astronauts during their lunar exploration. So these are early prototypes. The prototypes right now, well, they're black and not what we think of when we think spacesuits. It's pretty well expected that they're going to actually be white for the actual lunar landing. Yeah, I think these are just cool. They look cool. It's sweet to see that we're adding things like cameras and more lights and stuff like that because not all of us are going to get a chance to go up there. So be able to see video, first person video of going up there is just a cool way to kind of do it with your fellow astronauts and enjoy it a little bit. This will also be the first time that a woman and person of color will walk on the moon, which is great. I mean, inclusivity. Let's go. And let's keep going to the moon. I think that's a great way to keep adapting and keep moving forward. I would love to go there someday and take my helmet off and watch my head implode. That's a way to end it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.